Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Hit Monkey Season 2, Episode 8. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, let's pick up with Monkey and the co-op. Obviously, they've now got all the weapons, and they're fusing them all together. It's putting everything that's happened up to this point in time. We're going to finally end this after like thousands of years, all these like years of violence that each of them has had to deal with, and the circumstances that have led all of them to be where they are right now. But when the time comes, Monkey can't put the sword in because he thinks like, no, like what Haruka said, what Bryce said, like maybe there's something to that. And then, you know, boom, lets it out. Say, oh, what did your friends use? Armageddon. It's like, I like to use, he's like, those are negative words. I like to think more global euthanasia. And you're like, okay. So their plan is to cleanse the world because it's like, right, people are the problem. So it's like, that's how you get rid of violence. You basically burn the world to the ground and then you rebuild it from the ashes, so on and so forth. I wasn't, because my thought was like, okay, either the entire squad is going to be about it or it's just going to end up being Boone, someone's lying to stuff. It's like, no, the only person is actually the inverse. Only one person on the squad had no idea, and it's Dot. Understandable, because like even her interactions with Monkey compared to everyone else, she's the one that was always willing to give Monkey the benefit of doubt. Boone was, but that was a means to an end. But like the others are always quick, like, oh, we got to kill Monkey then. Like they were so quick to jump on that. Like, oh, you're not one of us in that moment because it's kind of like, oh, you betrayed us. Like they weren't going to give him the benefit of doubt. Dot's the only one who did. And for her, it's like, wait, this is what you had planned? They're like, no. Let the adults talk. You kind of have no part to play in all of this. Like, let us handle this. So that's the sad realization. And the twist that it was the devil working was like, oh, of course. It makes a lot of sense because, of course, the devil's going to be playing all angles in this. It's like he needed Bryce to push Monkey to get, like, he needed, it was, once again, Bryce's circumstances. Maybe Monkey would have always ended up with the co-op, but Bryce's deal with the devil just kind of probably pushed up that timeline. That ends up being kind of a point that Bryce tries to get across too. Like, you would have ended up at the co-ops like hands one way or another, and any killing you would have done would have been in service to the devil regardless anyway. So just like I've been working for him since the beginning of this season, ever since you joined up with the co-op, you've been working with him too. And, you know, technically you were already working with him because of my deal, but still. So interesting to know, because he had made that point about like an army he was going to get, and I was like, is this about the people Monkey's going to kill? Like, what's going on? And he even told Bryce that he wasn't going to he won't want to give up the price that's going to be paid for all this. So Haruka's dead, so I don't think it's going to be her. But it's, I said like maybe at the time I was like maybe Monkey would be the price. I wasn't quite sure. I don't know if the end of the world is the price that he was referencing. But now we make sense. Like all the people he's going to kill, it's going to become his Hell Army. So I was like, wow. Cause that was like the post credits or mid credits for like a couple episodes back. So for that to be brought back in this form with the realization about the truth of all of this. Monkey gets put inside of Slyke's mind. At the same time this is all going down, Bryce, Eunice, and Iris are all at, you know, they give Haruka a semi Viking funeral. Not quite, but somewhat similar. And it's like, right, does anyone have any words to say? And Eunice is like, well, cops suck except for Haruka, the end. And Bryce is like, yeah, she was Japanese, she was a cop. It's like, well, he knew her a little bit, but not that well. But it's like, well, honestly, she was a good person. The fact of the matter is she saw good in me. And the fact is that someone as good-natured as her was willing to even consider me a friend and considers himself lucky. It's like she gave up everything, her home, her life, her country, just be the police, just to be here to do the right thing. And that's who Haruka was, you know? I mean, she died still maintaining herself. Like, Akiko was only able to kill her because Haruka was like, that's not who I am, and threw down the sword. So, but yeah, Dot shows up and she tells Bryce and them about what's going on, that she wants to save Monkey, and also informs them that, oh yeah, the devil was a part of all of this. So There was a part back at Haruko's funeral that Akiko and Lady Bullseye are watching, and you know, Akiko seems to have just kind of moved past everything because like the people on that boat are dead. I mean, Lady Bullseye could have easily killed them, but I'm assuming Akiko did. But I think that's going to be an interesting thing going forward because Akiko's not going to be Lady Bullseye anymore. She's just going to be Akiko going forward. I mean, she doesn't have the mask and everything, and she has the skills, the conviction, the cold running through her veins, like not caring about life. That was interesting, her perspective on it. It's like, oh, Monkey's not here. He must be so overridden with guilt, which I'm sure there's a part of her that's kind of happy about that, but it's also like, right, she was hoping he'd show up so she can put a bullet in him. But yeah, Akiko has said, like, right, you taught me so much, but I don't need you anymore, and jumps into the water. She's like, yeah, I was on the swim team. I'm really good with the breaststroke. And so she basically is underneath the water, because I forgot to talk about that last episode, how water, I guess, has like a very purifying effect on Ghost. Like the same effect. Because I thought what she was going to do is put salt around Lady Bullseye and trap her on the boat and bounce. I thought that's what that was about. No, because she's bound to the mask, so just like wherever Monkey goes, like Bryce went along, so does the same thing with Lady Bullseye. So she, Akiko jumps in the water and just waits until Lady Bullseye burns away. Like her soul is probably just burned away. There is no afterlife. There's just darkness. You no longer exist. You don't even enjoy the darkness. It's just you're gone, kaput. And then the mask trails off. So like even if the mask was found again, I don't know if she would come back because she was burned by the water. So she might be gone. But it might also be like if someone does find that mask, which that could be a stinger at the end of the season. Someone finds that mask and Lady Bullseye returns. But like I said, Akiko's not got the like I said, she's not Lady Bullseye anymore. It's like when I kill Monkey, it's not gonna be as Lady Bullseye, it's going to be as Akiko. So how this all plays out, once again, we're dealing with multiple threats because Akiko's still out there, but they've got to deal with the Aldermen, which let's circle back to that. I'm not the Aldermen, the co-op, who are kind of pseudo. Well, they're going even further because the Aldermen were manipulating behind the scenes of that world, but more so than anything, they were still letting the world live, whereas like the co-op is like, now let's burn this world to the ground. So with that all said and done, Dot comes back just so she can get trapped inside of Slyke's mind, because she's actually been here before. She's like, yeah, one of the times she was here previously is because she drank the last of Slyke's energy drink, so he put her here. But his whole place is a mall, and I guess it's like, well, it makes sense. Like everyone's kind of got their like mental fortitude, like your mind like takes on the form of, you know, it kind of reminds me of Lock and Key, how like the inside of everyone's heads it's like manifested differently and stuff like that. So it just kind of gave me that same thought process. But either way, Bryce snuck inside of Dot, which I love that he's like, oh, like my first body possession was that of a child. He's like, I hope I don't give some register because of that. But yeah, like Bryce and Monkey are not seeing eye to eye. Monkey's pissed at Bryce, and Bryce is pissed at him because it's like, yeah, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Like they both have played a role in things getting to where it is right now. And he's like, oh, also, in case you were curious, Haruko's funeral was beautiful, and walks away. And just that hit Monkey because it's like he didn't want, like with everything going on, he couldn't show up. But I think also of like what his role in everything, it's like I turned against my friends. I didn't kill Haruka, but it's also because I didn't kill Akiko that Haruka died. So it's like there is a tremendous amount of guilt he was feeling. So it's extra reason not to go, but with like, hey, we got to save the world, that takes precedent. But also I probably wouldn't be welcomed at her funeral regardless. So they had the whole thing about like the hunter of the mall and everything, and I thought it was going to be especially because his voice is on the voiceover, I thought it was going to be like, oh, he manifested himself as this like badass warrior. I love the reveal that it's actually Colt. They never killed Colt, which I think is kind of interesting. It's like, oh, all that pressure Boone put on you to kill Akiko, but even they couldn't kill their own brother. They just locked him away in Slyke's brain. He's been here for the past two and a half decades. So I don't know why I didn't just say 25 years. I was going to say 2 decades, but then I was like, no, they gave you specific numbers, and then I said 2.5, and I'm like I said, it was kind of a moot point. Should have just said 25 years, but nevertheless. Dot was able to get out. I thought that was pretty badass, like literally putting up like walls made of brick and like steel, but she's able to tear through them, and she made it to the fountain. I was trying to think like what that reminded me of. I think the magicians, because the fountain would be like how there. That wasn't every world. There was some world. I don't remember what it was, but there was like a thing where you had to go through the fountain to leave. I forgot what that was. It was like an earlier season thing, maybe season 1 or season 2. I don't remember. It kind of reminded me of that. But Dot's the only one that got out because the fountain ended up getting destroyed, so... Oh, we also found out, like, that's how they dealt with some of the other aldermen. Who knows how many have been dealt with this way, but it's like, basically... I mean, without their weapons, they are regular people, so they were sent in here and fed to Colt. And he's been, like, basically just, like... anything Slyke sit in here. I mean, maybe that's also why the place is designed the way it is. Because I'm like, I don't know if that's supposed to imply like Slyke like absorbed an entire mall, or is that, like I said, or is that just the manifestation of his mind? I'm curious now in the retro, because I'm sure like he has absorbed stuff in there just for the sake of making life okay for Colt. Because it's like the car and everything. But it's like, to be fair, Colt has like free reign of that place. He can like summon stuff, and it's like how much of that is like giving you unlimited powers in this world. But yeah, the truth ended up unveiling itself. I thought that was kind of an interesting development, where it turns out that Slyke was under the impression, like, right, he came into this world willingly. It's like, I make this sacrifice. I'm a little crazy. I need to be taken off the board. So you guys don't have to kill me. I'll spend this all forever inside of Slyke's head. Well, also showcases, like, time does pass. It's not like he's aged in this world, so he would naturally die of old age in this world. So he would have died eventually. But it's not until they ended up accidentally going into the subconscious area of Slyke's mind, which it did seem like he wanted to hide something, because he was telling Boone, like, yo, I need to go in there. There's stuff in there he shouldn't see. Colt shouldn't see. And we find out the truth. Colt didn't willingly go inside of Slyke's mind. In fact, Boone used his powers to push him to do it. And it's like, yeah, that was their only way to make sure. It's like, we were kids, we were effed up. It wasn't the best solution, but it was our only solution, because we didn't want to have to kill you, brother. But the problem is, he was lied to the entire time, which is a recurring theme throughout this season, you know, Bryce and Monkey. But it's just like, you were lied to, but you thought you made this great sacrifice, and you find out, like, oh, there was bullshit by your brothers to keep you locked away. And it's like, you would have been a little more, you were understanding because you thought it was your own choice, but the choice was taken from you. It was made for you. Whatever the reasons may be, your brothers went behind your back and did that to you. So they did it for your sake. They're doing everything for your sake, but it's still a thing of, you lied to me. I've been in this prison for 25 years thinking I did it on my own. But it's like, no, you put me here. You made that choice for me. So given the opportunity, he ends up killing Slyke. He never thought that it would come down to this, but brother killing brother. Very Cain and Abel of it all, which is interesting considering there are 3 of them. So, but yeah, with Slyke dead, his entire world is collapsing. So luckily, Monkey and Bryce got out of there. But the whole situation made them look at their circumstances differently. Like, right, we are brothers. Like, I'm sorry for everything that happened between us. But it's like, yeah, like lies like led to these brothers turning on each other. In fact, brother killing brother, and it's like, let's put all the bullshit aside and just go out there and save the world, you know. So, and now in one fell swoop, Boone lost both his brothers. Cause at least he had some solace of knowing Colt was still alive in there, so there was some solace for both of them. But it's still the thing of, yeah, but I'm curious how much he's going to put on Monkey, Bryce, and Dot, and blame them for that. But it's like, to be fair, it's like, well, your own brother's the one that killed Slyke, not us. We didn't actually even have to lift a finger to kill him. That was your brother, like, was bashing his face in with some brass knuckles and then bashed his head in with a hammer. So it's like, Jesus. It's also interesting that the relic has taken on the form of a teddy bear. Like, that was the form they ended up choosing for it. I guess, like, that must have some I don't know, maybe there's some psychology behind Boone making it something so innocent. You know, maybe it's supposed to represent, like, right, we're taking all the terrible in the world and replacing it with innocence in a way. Maybe that's supposed to be what that's relative of, but also, like, Boone and his brother's innocence was taken from them when they were turned into weapons for the CIA and ultimately finding out they were weapons for the Aldermen. So I think there's a little bit of that. So I'm sure, like, there's layers behind that being the form that the relic is going to take. So some very, very interesting developments. I'm curious to see where the next episode takes us. 2 episodes left. I'm curious to see what happens with the whether we see Eunice and Iris next episode, and just how this all plays out in their attempt to stop the end of the world. They've got Don on their side, but they still got to deal with Amara, Double Tap, and Boone. So you're dealing with a guy that can control your mind, the gunman expert, and a being made of stone who can regenerate. So I'm sure there's going to be a means of, like, permanently taking her down, but it's going to be interesting to see how the penultimate episode of the season plays out and what it ultimately sets up for the season finale. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.